Good morning. Good morning. All right, I know I'm a little tardy. I just had to make myself another cup of coffee. Yesterday was a big day for the Kessler family. So I'm a little tired this morning, but we're feeling festive, all jeweled and diamond and bedazzled up. Yesterday, I spent the entire day with my father looking at residential assisted living properties. And that was a lot. I mean, if y'all have never walked into a assisted living, senior living care, I mean, it's emotional, it's real, it's humbling. So yesterday, my father and I were looking around. We went to three different residential assisted living places, and we finally found a place for Papa and Nanny. So Nanny's 88, Papa's 91, and it's just kind of time, right? And it's a emotional experience because obviously, Nanny and Papa don't want to leave the house that they're in Texas. And but at the same time, it's kind of time to do it because Nanny and Papa have help coming to the house, and some days they just don't show up and they're not reliable. So I think this is going to be a good transition, especially too because my aunt and uncle who live just right down the street from Nanny and Papa, they're moving. They're actually coming down here to the Villages in Florida, and Papa's like, okay, there's not going to be family here. I think we want to come to Florida with you guys. So I'm super, super excited as well because I've never lived close to my grandparents. And I'm just excited. I'm looking forward to taking Nanny and Papa out to lunch or hanging out. Let's play some cards. I'll watch a movie with y'all. Let's play some board games together. So a conversation for another time, but I need to bring Mike Samet on one of these live streams, Money Mornings with Hannah. He is our long-term care expert over here at the Money Multiplier because I'm telling you, these assisted living places, I mean, it's a pretty penny. Yes, you get the full-time care, meals are included, you got the housekeeping and all of that jazz, but it's a lot of dollars. And a lot of people don't think well far into the future of, hey, at some point, I'm probably going to need to go into an assisted living place. And I'll tell you right now, just with Nanny and Papa, these assisted living homes, the monthly fees, it's ranging anywhere from $9,000 to $12,000 a month. So think for yourself, are you prepared for that time? Because let's be real, you don't want to burden your family with the financial commitment and obligation to a $9,000 to $12,000 a month bill that we got to pay, right? So long-term care, okay, just a little PSA for all of my people who are thinking about it. I'll bring Mike Samet on the show sometime here soon and we'll get deeper into it, but just something that's been on my mind ever since yesterday. So good morning. Let me see who is in here in the chat. Dexter Holiday, as always. Good morning, my man. Mr. Dave, hello. Good morning. So today's topic, I was thinking about it a little sporadically, but I'm excited about it because we are getting in here to the Christmas season, literally 7 days away. Christmas is coming, Santa's coming to town, and we're going to be with our families, just like the Thanksgiving holiday. So what better time to bring up the conversation of how to talk to your kids about money? Because think about it, right? There's actually a Fidelity report that shows 56% of Americans never talked about money with their parents as a child, and 82% of them wish they had. Now, given 82% of them wish they had, I feel like that should be 100%, but given this is just a statistic, and truly that gap creates this generational confusion and fear and almost money trauma around our dollars and our financial life. So today I want to start talking about the simple yet practical conversations that we can bring to the kitchen table when we're sitting down with our kiddos. And, it's not going to be formal, But these conversations, if you do it intentionally, I think it could truly create a big impact. Not even I think, I know, because I'm a child where mom and dad were having money conversations with us at a young age. So I just want to do a quick little shout out too, okay? It's the perfect gift for this Christmas season. Our children's book, The Companion. Okay, so companionbook.com. Let me put a little banner up here. You can go and snag the book that way. But this is a good resource to bring up. You know, let's say you are a family that you like to read your child bedtime stories. This is a perfect bedtime story book. Okay, because The Companion, I don't talk about money specifically within the children's book, but it's using analogies. Okay. So the companion is your money. The companion, if you want to take it a step deeper, is your policy. And so the little girl and her companion, they go on these different adventures, and the companion is supporting her as she goes and slays the dragon being market volatility. You know, the companion is there to give her shelter when there's hard rain and lightning and thunder outside. Okay, so shielding the companion, that's essentially you using your policy loans to help yourself in needs of times like, hey, maybe I got laid off, or I have a big bill that came up unexpectedly and I just don't know how to pay that bill, right? So that's where your companion is coming in and helping you during those times. And it's a very beautiful book. So shout out Sam Welty. Sam Welty is a client of the Money Multiplier, and he's been around for a long time. He actually came and joined us at the last Tampa event. Okay, so he did all of these illustrations. I mean, Sam is so great to the point that mom and dad hired him, and he did amazing work inside of their house. Like my favorite portrait, he actually painted the airplanes that dad owns, and it's flying over Lake of the Ozarks. It's beautiful. I'll get a picture sometime soon and I'll post it up on Facebook. But shout out to Sam Welty. Seriously, if you need illustration needs, painting, anything like that, he is your man. He's very reasonably priced and he does phenomenal work, and he really leads with his heart when he's doing his work. So just a little shout out to Mr. Sam Welty if you're listening this morning. So companionbook.com, okay, y'all. It's a great resource for you and your children. Okay, you can buy it from us directly or go to Amazon. It's posted up there too. And if you have read it, please leave a review. I'm curious what y'all are thinking about the book too. However, to get back to our conversation today, I'm going to be sharing 5 tips of how to talk to your kids about money, because I say if you want your kids to have money, you need to start talking to them about it while they're young. Because again, these habits are just going to fall into their natural routine as they grow up and into their adult life. Because isn't that kind of the thing that we're doing with our children? We want them to be capable adults. So give them the tools to help them live that prosperous life where, again, their pocketbook doesn't have to dictate their time freedom and their location freedom of where they're spending. So just very thankful for my parents for teaching us kids at a young age. And really, my siblings, we're all doing very great. We all have that geographical location freedom and even time freedom. And, at the end of the day, money is just a tool, right? That's all it is. It just allows me to buy and do the things that I want to do within my life. So don't be hoarding your money. Okay. Yes, it's important to have the emergency fund set aside, but it's more so important to put your little green men to work, understand how money actually works. And this is something that we're going to be getting into in Tampa at moneygamelive.com at the end of February 27, 28, and March 1st. Come and join us in Tampa. And if you've been sitting on the sidelines thinking about coming, just FYI, ticket prices are increasing on January 6th. Okay. So if you've been thinking you want to come, go and snag your tickets before the price increases, because no, I'm not going to give any, what's the right word? allow y'all to take advantage of the already low ticket prices. You get what I'm saying. So don't come and ask me after the 6th. Tickets are what they're priced at. So moneygamelive.com, come and join us in Tampa. So my 5 tips of how to talk to your kids about money. Tip number 1, start early and integrate money into daily life. So make it a part of everyday conversations. Hey kids, how am I making my money? Where am I storing the money at? And how do I decide to spend it? Okay, so bringing the kids into those money conversations at an early age and utilizing you as an example of how you're making it, where you're storing it, and how you decide to spend it, then money's not going to be such a taboo subject within your house. And kids don't need the spreadsheets. They really just need that exposure to the money conversations. And when you truly start to normalize these money conversations early on, you remove that fear factor later. And if your kids grow up hearing money discussed calmly, they're going to grow up with handling their own money very confidently, if you will. So here's an example. I remember when Pops, actually, before I even go there, I have known my father's net worth since I was like 8 years old. Okay. Because what dad will do, he's still a very big pen and paper person. And he has this giant poster board that he's been using since 2012, literally to the point that's like almost disintegrating. I'm like, okay, dad, we have to maybe digitalize this so you don't lose the information. But dad would bring us in and he would go through of his net worth, his income he was bringing in, his expenses, what he bought that year, how he was buying it. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And he would track his net worth, because if y'all came out to Denver, we went through Brent Kessler's passive income report. And one of the things that his mentors taught him is if you track your stats, it's going to grow. But if you track your stats and report it to others, it's going to grow exponentially. So that's what he was doing with us kids. He's like, it's more so for me than what it is for you guys, because if I track my stats and I report it to other people, my net worth is just going to keep growing exponentially. And it does, right? It almost kind of gets into my one-liner that I always say is money is going to flow and grow to where it's respected to. They're kind of one and the same. But dad was bringing us into his net worth statements at a young age, and he would bring us into the conversations of when he would go and purchase the houses. Okay, dad has a few rentals. When he bought the rental in Spruce Creek, okay, that rental, it was actually my brother's house until he moved out of it. And he showed us how he was buying Zach's house, borrowing from the family bank. And then obviously Zach was paying dad back the interest payments every month for his mortgage payment back to the family bank. So he was bringing us in how he bought that. Even on my first house over in Pelican Bay, dad brought me in and was showing me how he bought it and how much it was costing to renovate it, do a little bit of updates. And then that's what I did too. I was paying back the family bank. I remember one time in specific, dad was buying snowmobiles for the Idaho house, because in Idaho, that's a rental as well. So when we're not there spending family time, dad will rent it out. And what these people love to do in the winter months, because it's the best snowmobiling trails all in the whole entire country. If you look it up, Island Park, Idaho. They go in, they groom the trails every single night, and it's just beautiful. So in addition to the rental, we can also rent out those snowmobiles. And dad's like, hey, I'm going to go in here, buy these snowmobiles. Let me show you how I'm buying them. And he even got us into the conversations of how he was even negotiating those prices for the snowmobiles with the seller who was selling them. So just being exposed to those conversations at a young age, it allowed me to be successful and use those same principles just within my own life. I mean, seriously, this is why I started my own bank when I was 18, aka the infinite banking concept, and then how it allowed me to become a millionaire by the time I was 24. And I'm not saying that to boast. I'm just saying that because, hey, I am a prime walking example. If your kids actually listen to you, okay, that's a story for another time. but if your kids are listening to you and you expose them at a young age, again, these habits are just going to carry naturally into that next session of their life. Hold on, we got some comments coming in. Dexter saying, I read it to my grandson weekly. He gets a visual along with hearing me speak about it. And he's 2. Get them early. Good job, my man. Shane is saying, the companion is in my home, in my niece and nephew's home. Wonderful story. Thank you, Shane. Thank you. So that's habit number 1. Okay. So money habit number 1, money tip. Money tip number 1, start early and integrate money into daily life. Money tip number 2, encourage the savings and budgeting. Give your kids an allowance and tie it to chores. I will be the first one to say that my generation, we are the worst with this. Okay. I get it. Okay. I have a very entitled generation, and I can say that because I'm a part of Gen Z. Okay. I know how we behave and how we act. And I think that some of this entitlement comes from parents giving away the money without showing how money is earned. Because my mama would always say, Hannah, there is no money tree in my backyard. So if you want that item or the toy or whatever it is, you're going to work to get that item, the product, the toy, whatever it is. Okay. So here's what my family would do. When we were living in Kansas City, we would do chores. And how it was structured is 1 week, Hannah would do the laundry. The other week, Hannah would do the dishes. And Zach and I would flip-flop back week after week. Dishes, laundry, okay? And I will say too, we were a family where mama had us sit down at dinner every single night. That was a big part of my childhood too. I just think it's very important to sit down every evening and have dinner with your family if time allows it and the people are there with you. That was one of my biggest highlights. Every night at 6:00 p.m., mama would have dinner ready. I would set the table, and us 4 would just sit around the table and just conversate about our day that day. So with money tip number 2, I was on a week, off a week on the laundry and dishes, and Zach and I would flip-flop until one day I came to Zach and I was like, Zach, I really hate doing the dishes. And Zach was like, well, Hannah, I really hate doing the laundry. And then I was like, perfect. So I'll keep doing the laundry. You keep doing the dishes. And this is where we'll just stay at. Okay. So we were doing that. And so every week, Mom would give us $7 for the chores that we did. And here's what she would do. I'm going to scoot my computer back. She would have a 3-cup system, okay? In my 3-cup system, we would have save, spend, and give. 50% of our allowance money went to the save bucket. 40% went to our spend bucket, and 10% went to the give bucket. And what Mom would do, because every Sunday we go to Mass, and when the basket was being passed around the pews, Mom would have our give money. And so she would give it to us, and then we would actually put our 10% give money into the basket for that service. Sorry, struggling with words this morning. Let's take another sip of coffee. So with the 50% of the save, this is what we would start allocating towards our policies. I'll get into that one in a second. The 40%, this is what I could use for that money. Seriously, I would go to Price Chopper. We had Price Choppers back in Kansas City, and there would be maybe J14 magazines and other magazines back then, right? or a toy that I wanted, or there was the Starbucks inside of the Price Chopper. And if I had enough money, I could buy myself a nice little Frappuccino, right? And so my spend bucket, that 40%, that was all the money I was allowed to spend. So to the point that actually mom didn't even care what we did with our stuff. Because let's say that I come home with like a new toy and I decide to take a hammer to it and smash it. Mom never got upset with us because she's like, that's your money. You spend it and use it how you want. But no, I'm not going to be replacing it for you. I mean, seriously. So whatever I had within my spend bucket, that's what I could use for my spending. And then obviously we talked about the give. The giving is for, your Tide money, giving to charitable donations, whatever you choose, right? I think it is important that once your cup is filled up, you should be flowing into other cups as well, which is a perfect segue. Do you see my little Bella bear back here? Okay. This is a good charitable organization. He's actually husband and wife. They're members of the Money Multiplier. Before I get done here today on the session, if you are looking for 501c3s and different charities to donate to, I highly, highly recommend the Bella Foundation here. Again, I will put the link in the chat before the broadcast is over. But again, because mom started us off at a young age, this is what allows me to keep giving each and every year. So now with my 50% within my save bucket, obviously I wasn't old enough to own my own policy. Dad owned my policies. So dad was the owner, I was the insured person, and I would use this save money. And this save money, dad would show me how he was paying premiums or paying extra paid up addition premium into my policy on my body. Now, given still to this day, dad still owns that policy. So dad, we're going to have a conversation about that. But seriously though, dad has really helped me a lot within my life by giving me loans when I needed to go buy the houses, my van and different things. But one of these days, dad, I'm going to be coming after you on my save bucket policy. Okay. So that's how we would incorporate the policies even deeper, rather than just saving this money inside of our checking or savings account at the bank. This is where that money would go to, is actually inside of a policy. Money tip number 2, encourage savings and budgeting, give your kids an allowance and tie it to chores. Money tip number 3, focus on values and responsible spending. So discuss with your kids the differences between needs and wants and help them prioritize a need over a want. This is hard even for people as adults. And I love the allowances when it's tied to this responsibility and not so much the entitlement, right? Because this is where the wealth habits are built. And if I can show my child the differences between the needs and the wants and almost that instant gratification or just spending money to spend money, again, that's going to carry them through life. Me, because I am a part of the Gen Z generation, I know that it's hard when we're getting hammered with ads on Instagram and Facebook just simply while you're scrolling. And I have, there's been some cool products that pop up on my social media apps. I'm like, crap, that thing is cool. But here's what I do. I see the ad and I open that ad into the external what's it called? External browser. There we go. External browser on my Safari on my phone, and I will hold it there for 48 hours. So if I'm still thinking about this product after those 48 hours, that's when I'll go in and I'll go buy it. So then I'm not just spending money nilly-willy, if you will. I'm really prioritizing the differences between my needs and wants. And obviously, for the adult life, this is why it's so important. I'm the big advocate of Rocket Money. I still use Rocket Money to this day. and that's a whole other story. ADD is going off. I'm getting on my niece. I asked my niece the other day, I said, Tori, how much money did you make this month and how much did you spend this month? What does your Rocket Money app say? And she goes, oh, I canceled my Rocket Money app and that subscription on it. Girl. So I'm going to be having a conversation with her. Given Tori is 16 years old, I get it. But girl, I'm trying to help you here. And that kind of goes back to my one point of, as long as your kids will listen to you, okay, we're going to try our hardest. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to just let them fall on their face. I'll tell you, the best thing that my parents have ever done for me is cut me off at the age of 18. Seriously. When you turn 18 years old in the Kessler household, mom and dad say it is no longer my responsibility to keep you alive anymore. Seriously. And there were months when I was living in downtown Kansas City with my two girlfriends. We were paying rent at a townhouse down there. And there were some months where I didn't have my rent money. I had to go to my ex-boyfriend at the time, ask for rent money, and even my two roommates who were living in the house with me. I mean, seriously, I had to fall flat on my face in order for it to get inside of my head. So PSA to my parents, don't be enablers. Seriously, let them fall on their face and allow them to learn these hard things when they are young. So then it's not something that we're dealing with when we're in our 40s and 50s, right? So Tori with her Rocket Money app, I kind of forgot about that. I need to bring that back up into conversation. Anywho's. But prioritizing the needs over the wants. This is why it's also important to track your stats and look at your expenses every month, because then you know what your needs are: my rent, mortgage, the utilities, car payment, gasoline, grocery bill, phone bill, internet, right? We have our comfort creature needs. And then we also have the wants. So am I budgeting in for the food, fun, and fashion, the entertainment? So just some little tips too, as us adults, it's very important. I use my Rocket Money app, and then I also use my net worth statement within Excel. So if you don't know what I'm referring to, go to the Money Multiplier podcast, and it's the episode titled How to Scale Policies Without Overextending Ourselves. Great video. I got a lot of people who reached out to me asking for that Excel file. So shout out there, go and watch that episode. And if you want that net worth statement, I'll send it to you. Just send me an email. Shane saying kids are always listening to you, whether you realize it or not. It's so true. Shane, seriously, when we were younger, we'd kind of joke with dad, because in Kansas City, we had basements. We don't have basements in Florida. And dad's office was in the basement. And we'd always joke because dad has a loud, booming voice, and you could seriously hear him all the way upstairs on the second floor. And when dad would come up for dinner at the end of the night, Zach and I would run to dad and say, money for food, food for money, money for car, car for money, money for house, house for money. And we just kind of reciprocate back to him. It was a joke in our household. Dexter saying, dad helps you a lot. However, you work hard for it. Listening to his rants and seeing his smile at the same time. Girl dad. Absolutely. Stop it, Dexter. You're making me emotional over here. Okay. That's money tip number 3. Money tip number 3, focus on values and responsible spending. Discuss with your kids the differences between needs and wants and help them prioritize a need over a want. No, I'm going to save that story for our next one. Okay. Number 4, encourage questions and open communication. So ask your kids the questions of, what do you plan to spend your allowance money on? Or how could we be saving for this family trip? Encourage those questions in open communication. I even say this to you adults who are calling me up and we're having strategy calls. I say, hey, there's no stupid questions. So give me a call, send me a text, because I want to be here to help you, because you don't know what you don't know. Am I right? Ask the questions. Think for yourself in question and ask the questions. Even if you think it's an ignorant question, I ask so many ignorant questions. Are you kidding me? Especially being in rooms with masterminds where like the second youngest person is in their 40s. I ask very ignorant questions, okay? So don't be afraid to ask the questions. There's no stupid questions within the Money Multiplier community. Here's a prime example. I was in St. Louis and I was doing a television appearance. And actually, and it was on the KMOV St. Louis channel. And when I was in St. Louis, the host actually invited me in on a 1-hour live stream on the, I think, was it NBC or was it Fox? It was NBC or Fox channel. And I was able to do my 5-minute segment live on air. And then I did my 1-hour live stream on air. And the host has a 4-year-old son. And she says, hey, well, let me ask you this question. This weekend, because I went in on a Monday, and she says, just yesterday on Sunday, we were taking a walk around the park and the ice cream truck showed up. And did you know that bomb pops are $5 now? I was like, no, that is crazy. So bomb pops are $5. And she goes, okay, how can I make this a learning experience with my son? And she asked me that question. What would you have done? How could I have made that a learning experience? And I kind of gave her some suggestions. And I said, you know what? Here's what I would do. Kind of one of two ways to look at it. The first one, you can implement delayed gratification. Say, hey, honey, instead of us spending $5 on this bomb pop here, this one bomb pop, we have ice cream at home. And if you wait at home, I'll give you 2 ice cream cones. Okay, obviously parents probably don't want to do that, but do you kind of see the messaging behind it, right? That delayed gratification, instead of getting this one right now, if you just wait a few hours, you'll get 2 at home, okay? That was kind of like my first idea. The second idea I had, well, honey, instead of you spending this $5 on this bomb pop, I know you've been talking about this new Batman toy that you want, and that's going to cost you $35. So instead of having this bomb pop, allow me to take the $5 that you would have spent and we'll allocate it to the Batman fund. So now we're saving up for the higher price Batman toy that I know you've been talking about and that you want for yourself. So just kind of some examples. I mean, yeah, he's 4 years old, but seriously, you can start doing this at a young age. You just have to talk to them at the level of where they're at. You see what I'm saying? Warren Buffett said to eat a third of the ice cream, then give it to them to teach about taxes. That's funny, Shane. That's so true. Okay. So that's money tip number 4. Okay. Encourage questions and having that open communication. My 5th money tip, how to talk to your kids about money. Get the kids involved in the decision making within the family. Okay, let them participate in family decisions and discussions. Involve them in the grocery shopping, the meal planning, or even planning and how to save for that next family vacation. Okay, when you start to get them involved in these real life conversations, it's going to allow them not just to hear about the money talk, but it allows them to experience it with you as being their guardian and their parent. So I remember when I was growing up, Mom would actually take me to the grocery store. We would go to Price Chopper together. And back then, I mean, going to Price Chopper just like wasn't my favorite thing, but how kind of Mom incentivized me. She was like, hey, but if we go, you know, there's that magazine stand and you can go and pick out your magazines. And I was the type of kid when I was growing up, you would get the magazines from those like J14. And there's another one. I can't think of it right now. Oh my gosh, it was the one above J14. Anyways, but they would have the posters in them. And that's what I wanted. I wanted the posters, like the Justin Bieber, the Selena Gomez posters, the Taylor Swift, and I would post those up all around my room. So that's how she kind of incentivized me to go. But really, why mom wanted me to go with her, not just to help carrying the groceries into the house, but she wanted to go with me, or she wanted me to go with her so that she could show me the prices of items. Okay, because you have your different brands. You have the Price Chopper brand, or you have the Hidden Valley Ranch brand, right? So she would show me the differences of the name brand items and the smaller brand items, and really teach me about the cost differences between them. Hey, just because this thing's name brand, Hidden Valley Ranch, Kleenex, Bounty, right? Does it really mean that this is the best product that we should be buying? Now, given the quality of the product and the price and all that stuff, let's not go too deep into the weeds. Okay, you hear what I'm saying? It's almost like me, like, okay, I get it. Like, I could be saving money if I go to Walmart and, let's say, get the great value cheese, but I do not go cheap on cheese. Okay, that's just my thing. Sargento all the way. So, you're going to have your habits and different things. But again, this is what allows us money not to dictate how I'm spending my money, right? I can go and buy the cheese that I want because I can afford the cheese that I want. Anyways, going too deep down the rabbit hole. So she would show me when we were going into the grocery store the different prices and why she was picking this specific product over the other one, because, hey, even though this one is cheaper and it's not named brand, I'm going to get this one because it tastes the exact same as this Hidden Valley Ranch. Okay. You kind of get what I'm saying? So it's just important to bring the kids into the conversations and then allow them to participate in those family conversations and discussions, especially too when it comes to like taking the family vacation for the year, which I encourage y'all. Don't just be taking once a year vacations. Take all the vacations that you can. Okay, I think that's very, very important. Spending time. Time is the only resource you can't get back, baby. So spend the time with your loved ones and your family members while they're here. But that was very helpful. Okay. And then, then as I got older, I got into food quality. And, have you ever heard of obviously all of y'all have heard of it, stay around the perimeter of the grocery store. Okay. That's where you want to stay. Don't go into the aisles, because that's where all the junk food and everything is at. I learned that from my mama, even though I've been seeing it be posted up on Facebook now, but mama was the first one that taught me that. So it allowed me to really build a good, sturdy foundation for what I currently do right now within my money life. So let's kind of go into a deeper level. So I need to scratch the word so. I'm trying to work on that. So no. Let's go into a deeper layer. We don't manage money just for ourselves. We manage it for the family we're building. Teach your kids money is something that we should be taking care of. So if you take care of it, it will allow you to take care of yourself. It will allow you to take care of others, and now into the future. And that's the true legacy thinking about this financial life that we have. Wealth isn't what you leave to your kids. It's what you leave in them, okay? Those good habits, the good principles, that's what you want to leave to your family. Seriously, I have some concerns about even some of our money multiplier clients. There's some people who are not teaching their family members about what they're doing. And what I would hate to see happen is you graduate and you pass away, you leave this lump sum of tax-free death benefit money to your beneficiaries. And then now, because we did not teach our family the responsibility of this money, they're just going to go and blow it. That would suck, would it not? This is why we need to bring money into the conversations. This is why I think trusts are important. Wills are very important. It's never too early to start talking about that estate planning as well. But more so, you don't want to just leave your family the money or the assets themselves. You want to leave them the good habits, the stories, the moments, the memories. Because if you think about it, that's all what life is truly about. It's just the moments that we have and we're building with our family, with our friends, our communities. So I'll leave y'all with this. Most adults say, I wish my parents had talked to me about money. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. And this is exactly why Chris Naugle and I wrote The Companion. Here's a little banner up on the screen, companionbook.com. This is why we wrote The Companion, because it's simple, it's heart-led, and it's a way to help parents start these conversations early with the confidence, the values, and truly setting that intention with your kids as well. Again, if you're sitting around the kitchen table with your kids today, start there, ask questions, share a story, and build the habit. Because the greatest inheritance you can give your children isn't money, but it's understanding that money. So before I go, I told y'all I was going to be posting up the 501c3 that I encourage y'all to check out and look into. Hold on, let me get you a link. Copy link. Go to my comments. There you are, my friends. And you can get your own Bella Bear. We are getting here into the end of the year. I will be live next week on Thursday on Christmas morning. If you want to come and join me Christmas morning, it would be great to see you. It might not be an hour-long episode like I normally do, but come and join us Christmas Day. I will say I'll probably not be on that following Thursday because if I'm being honest with you, it's New Year's Day. And yo girl has some concert tickets. So I'm going to be out a little late. And I don't want to get up early on New Year's Day, okay? So I will be here next week, Christmas, but not on January 1st. So you'll catch me the following Thursday. And just a reminder, I'm here every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Go and snag the companion book for you and your children, and also give the gift for yourself. Money Game Live coming up, Tampa, Florida. Ticket prices are increasing January 6th. So if you've been waiting for a sign to snag the tickets, here is your sign. So without further ado, let me check out some of these comments. Dexter's going to be here Christmas Day. Dave as well. Good. It'll be good to see you both. So, as always, so, thank you for being here this morning. I'll see you right back, same time, same place, next week for another episode of Money Mornings with Hannah. Until next time, do well, be great, my friends, and I'll see you very, very soon. Mwah! Have a good day.